And the Northern Territory has reopened its borders overnight to every state and territory except Victoria and Sydney residents. Reporter Suwaiba Hanifi joins us now from the Darwin Mall. Suwaiba, g'day. So has there been any sort of movement with people wanting to come and explore the territory?
Good morning, Joe. Yes, we've spoken to the roadhouses along the Northern Territory border, and they said that business was booming yesterday with grey nomads and also people carrying caravans who were hoping to enter the Northern Territory by midnight. Borders reopening means these people won't have to quarantine for 2 weeks when they arrive. A lot of people, especially families and workers, have been separated during this time where borders have been closed. And of course, businesses are particularly eager for the borders to reopen, for tourists to come in and enjoy the dry season here.
Yeah, I personally know someone who was stuck in WA has been there for a couple of months and was going to use the opportunity to take a bit of a trip around Australia and was waiting for that border to reopen to the Northern Territory. So he's one of those, but I don't think he'd be described as a grey nomad, not just yet, but he was one of those people keen to get in. So what are some of the protocols that are in place once people arrive?
Well, our first flight will actually arrive from Perth at midday, but we're hearing from NT Airports that they are prepared. Some of the protocols will include when you arrive into the Northern Territory, you're expected to bring through a coronavirus form, which will have some of your details, and the officials will also ask whether you've travelled to a coronavirus hotspot. People who have travelled to a hotspot will be separated from the rest of the passengers. They'll also be taken into forced hotel quarantine or taken to the Howard Springs Workers Village. There they'll have to pay a $2,500 bill to cover the cost of 2 weeks of isolation.
And so we can see there behind you that there's not a hell of a lot happening in the Darwin Mall there at the moment. But just for people living outside the Northern Territory and other states and territories around Australia, describe for us what it's been like there in the Territory through this pandemic. Does it feel like everything is basically back to normal there now?
It does. It's very early hours in the morning here in Darwin City, so it should get a bit busier throughout the day. This is the final
stage
of...
could be up and about around 8:30 or so.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small city, but we're hoping this is the last stage of restrictions easing, and so a lot of businesses are back to normal. And, you know, a few months ago, this would have been completely dead. You know, there were only a few people walking around. So things are starting to get back to normal.
But is it still really noticeable in terms of international visitors not being around?
Yeah, definitely. And that's what the tourism businesses are telling us, that the international market is one of the markets they heavily relied on, particularly for going to places like Kakadu and Uluru. And so that market definitely has not come back into the territory and Australia-wide. So they have seen a decline in people. However, you know, they're hoping that given we can't travel overseas at all, a lot of people from interstate and within the territory will use this time to kind of explore the region.
And what's it like living through winter with 32 degrees every day?
I'm actually quite cold right now and it's only 21 degrees.
Yeah. Okay, we feel for you. Okay, Suwaiba Hanifi reporting there from Darwin.